Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our live. Okay, so hey, it's Bronx Tales. We are live. I want to let you guys know up front while some people are still entering that I needed to go live earlier today, earlier than normal, and I'm only going to be able to do about an hour today. I do have a few things and errands and stuff I do have to absolutely get done today, but I didn't want to not come live. I'm going to give it a minute for people to come in. As always, everything that we talk about on this channel is alleged and our opinion. Hello. Hey, Pumpkin. I hope you've had a wonderful day today. I hope something really awesome happened to you today, like a raise or you won the lottery or hello, she's just a devil woman. How are you, pretty girl? I also hope you had a wonderful day. All right, all right. So I actually have two super duper mini booms, very mini. Um, and they actually go off of Pav's video today. And he didn't mention, I have two in Pav's video. He didn't mention them. And I have one in the documents. So good. I'm glad you had a good day. That's awesome to hear. So, like I was saying, I have some little tiny mini booms. I don't know what I should call them since they're really super small. They're not huge, like, oh my God, but I think it makes a difference when we're talking about certain things in this case. So I'm going to just get started since I only have an hour today. Hi guys. Go ahead and join and welcome and hit the like and put something in the chat so I know you're alive. Hi, Mark and Betty. I hope you've had a wonderful day today too. Okay, so can you guys see what is on my screen right now? And if you can, I want you to tell me, this is a vehicle. And as many of you, yeah, a poom poom, there we go. It's a mini poom poom. We got 3 of them today. I like that. I really like that. So as we all know, this is Pav's video, by the way. If you haven't seen his video from today, absolutely go watch it. He does have big booms in it. But the little ones that I'm going to talk about, he didn't mention, and I caught them in his video. So I want to definitely make sure you guys are aware. This is the undercover vehicle at Banfield. Now, if we remember, good. You're alive and kicking. I love it. Yeah, I do too. I love 80s music. It's like nostalgic. If you guys remember, DoorDash, Molly McMichael said she saw a vehicle with a blonde, reddish hair, guy with reddish hair or blonde hair that was spiky. And if you watched any of Pav's latest videos, he shows, I think it's Officer Tisdale. He has short, reddish, blondish, spiky hair. He has a buzz cut. And she said she saw them in a tan vehicle. And it was one driver with their dome light on that looked zoned out, is what Molly McMichael said she saw when she was at 1122. Now, look at the color of this vehicle up close. I know from far, when we see the vehicle from far away, it looks white. But the closer we get to this vehicle, it's actually like a silvery champagne color. This vehicle to me would totally pass as tan. If I saw it in this light like it is right now, I would call this vehicle tan as well. Now, when we see officers, especially at night, a lot of times we see them with their dome light on. So this is mini poom poom number 1. This vehicle looks tan to me. So I know before we talked about maybe, yeah. I spill my beer everywhere. That's so funny. I know that we thought that it was possibly JD or JS, Decor or Showalter, because they both have blondish reddish hair. But I do want to point out this vehicle looks tan. It could pass as tan. And Tesdal has spiky reddish colored hair. The dome light was on. Now, the other thing, though, is we know two people were in this vehicle, Rosie and Tesdal. So I want to show you. Right here. I don't even.
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, this is Dope Tech from Wix.
I knew it was going to do that. Now, Pav is showing the date and time, but I want to show you this. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but if you look straight ahead in this video, that is the windshield, and to the right is the passenger window. This is Rosie on his body-worn camera, leaned all the way back in the car. So if you just glanced at this vehicle with the dome light on and you saw one person in there, it's because Rosie was leaned all the way back and he wasn't visible. You know, she's obviously not absolutely staring into this vehicle, but if she's looking quickly or a glance, in the What Did You Tell Adam, there's a tan SUV there. Looks like a Nissan Murano. Hoodie guy waiting for his ride gets picked up in that same little SUV. Interesting. We'll have to check that out probably tomorrow. I'll play that one too, because I want to check out that vehicle for sure. Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, Molly McMichael, I think she saw, I am 100% certain that she saw this vehicle. This is the vehicle she saw, which is the undercover vehicle. She saw Tesdale driving with his short, spiky, reddish blonde hair. And then Rosie was in the passenger seat with it laid all the way back as far as it could go. He literally looks like he's laying down. So that's the other little tiny boom from Pav's video. And if you guys haven't seen it, definitely go see it. Now, the other little tiny baby poom poom boom, I'm going to pull up actually the next document that we needed to get to. Here we go. Is 108 is where we left off. We didn't get to that yet. And this is Ava Woods. Let me minimize this. This is Ava Woods' interview. So I want to read this real quick. This is by Blaker. Oh, no, this is with JL. Wait, where's Ava's interview? Oh, 109 is, we already did this one. 109 is where we were at. Sorry, guys. Let me pull that up real quick. 109. There we go. It's going to take a minute for it to show on the screen. So I'll give it a minute. There we go. Okay, so this is Ava Woods' interview. This goes along with the second tiny baby boom boom boom. On November 13, 2022, at around 2:41, I conducted an interview on Ava Woods at the Moscow Police Department. Ava lives on Queen Road, which is in the area of 1122. Ava was working at the U of I football game and was at the game until 20:45 hours, 8:45. Ava did not have any interactions with any of the people who live at 1122 King Road. Ava saw and heard all the emergency lights and sirens and looked out and saw some of her friends standing outside with white blankets around them. Ava went out and brought more blankets to the people outside to try and help. This is the part, everybody knows about this, but I'm going to use this to then show you my next thing. Ava told me a few weeks ago on October 14th, remember that date, at around 1 o'clock in the morning, she heard what she thought was a male walk up to her door and try to open her door. Ava stated she had her deadbolt and door were both locked. Ava told me she saw photos posted on Snapchat by Kaylee showing Kaylee and Maddie had been at the corner club and the grub truck. Ava was not able to tell me anything else about this case. Now, that's it. Remember the date, October 14th. And I'm going to show you this next page. This one is skipping ahead, but I just want to show you something. Let me make it bigger. There we go. This document is Bryan Kohberger's debit card being used at Walmart. Now, this is in Pullman. These are all the recorded times where he used his debit card at Walmart in Pullman. Now, if we scroll down a little bit, we have, here's two right here. These are his debit card being used at Target in Moscow. He's got 16 uses of his debit card at Target in Moscow, and most of them are food orders, like he went grocery shopping at Target. Now, in all of these, there's 16 of them. So these right here are 16 of the 23 times he hit on the tower in Moscow outside 100 meters of the 1122 King Road house, which again is longer than the length of a football field. Just keep that in mind of how far that actually is to even be able to get any intel on that house at all. And he's just driving by. He's not stopping, or they would have said that. Now, if you look at these dates, these are 16 of the 23 times that he pinged in Moscow. If you notice on here, he was not there the night of October 14th. Now, does that mean that he could have been there the night of the 14th and not have gone to Target? And that's one of the 7 times left over that we don't know where he was at when he pinged? Possibly. But let me tell you something. Had they thought it was Bryan Kohberger, and had they gone into his device or whatever and seen exactly where he was at and know that that was him that was trying to get into Ava Woods' apartment, had he been in Moscow on October 14th, number one, they would have told Ava it could possibly be him, and mainstream media would have had it everywhere. He could have possibly been the person that tried to get in Ava's apartment. Ava could have been a victim, and she just snuck by the, hair on her chinny chin chin, and Bryan Kohberger didn't get to her because thank God that she had a deadbolt. We would have heard all about it. So I would bet almost anything that Bryan Kohberger was not in Moscow on the night of October 14th. We would have heard all about it, and it's not in one of the 16 times out of the 23 that he went to Target in Moscow and pinged in Moscow. So we can almost say, that he was not in Moscow on 10/14, and that was somebody else trying to get into Ava's apartment exactly 1 month prior to these unalivings. Hi, Susan. I hope you've had a wonderful day. What dice team number was the one you did with the guy with all the knives who said he was in the house and nobody knew he was there? Yep, it's 77. Yes, Susan, it's 77 for sure. Yep. And you know what? She's just a devil woman says, I think BK was out tweaking too. His actions sound like a tweaker, especially turning his phone off. Tweakers get paranoid around their phones. Yes, I completely Yeah, that was crazy, Susan. You're welcome. I completely agree, Devil Woman, that he absolutely sounds like a tweaker. But you know where I think he was getting his stuff from? Because we also know he was up all night, every night, running the garbage disposal, running the vacuum, bothering his neighbors because he was up cleaning all night, every single night. That's totally a tweaker move. But you know where I think he was getting his stuff from is the guy that rode the motorcycle there one time. I don't think he continued to ride his motorcycle to give him the stuff, but I think that could have been his dealer, or Molly McMichael could have been his dealer or one of her people as well. And she just didn't know that that was him, or her people didn't know that that was him, didn't put two and two together. I don't really go towards that theory at all. But I think the tattooed guy on the motorcycle could definitely have been his dealer. Now, you're not usually going to ride a motorcycle to do a drug deal or a rug deal because it brings too much noise and attention to yourself and your person, and you don't want people to be looking your way. Obviously, it makes sense why both of them stopped talking when the neighbor walked up. That could have been a rug deal, and it could have been from one of the Aryan drug dealers that they took down, and the whole reason the FBI was in town to begin with. But obviously he's not going to ride his motorcycle there every time, so the neighbors wouldn't have necessarily known how often he was there, because I'm sure he drove a car all the other times. Hi, Pokey. So I mean, yeah, I think we could be onto something with that. And I think that could have been his dealer, the Aryan guy with the tattoos. I'm not saying he is Aryan, but he very well could be. And he could have been one of the people taken down or being looked at through this rug whole thing that they were, take down or whatever in that area from the Aryan guys. That could have been his dealer. But yeah, hey, Sully's. But I can say I don't have a doubt that Bryan Kohberger was not in Moscow on the 14th. He was there on the 13th. And let's see, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. He goes there a little bit later, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But there's not one for the 14th. He wasn't in Moscow on the 14th. And I think if he had pinged in Moscow on that date, we would have heard about it, because Ava would have known. Sure, the police would have told Ava, and they would have been all about that in mainstream media. That could have been Bryan. Oh my gosh, Bryan Kohberger possibly trying to get into Ava's apartment. She could have been a victim. I don't think so. I don't think he was there on the 14th. And so even in Ava's own words, if that's not Bryan Kohberger, that means he's not the unaliver. So there is that. Pokey, since you just joined, I am going to show you this real quick. I went over right before you got in. If you haven't seen Pav's video, yes, you are right, Devil Woman. That's how I know the shoes as well. No problem, Pokey. That's how I know the shoe thing as well. On the power lines, it usually means that there is a rug house on that block. That's what I was brought up being told. Yeah, Sully. Yep. So, Pokey, in this, let me see if I can make it smaller or closer. No, that didn't really work, but it's okay. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor on screen, but this is a video. Okay, first, let me go back a little bit. Pav did a video today. This is his video. I'm not going to play it. I just have 2 screenshots on here, and they're very quick. He didn't mention this, but I caught these 2 little mini poom pooms. The DoorDasher, Molly McMichael, she saw, remember, a tan vehicle with a blonde, reddish, spiky hair guy, and he had his dome light on, and she said it was just one person in there, but I'm going to prove to you how it was the officer's unmarked car at Banfield, and it was Tesdall and Rosendahl in the vehicle. That's who she saw. It was not Bryan. It was not. And this vehicle is the white vehicle driving around in that area. And Pav proves that in his video. If you haven't seen it, definitely go see it. But this is proving there wasn't just one person in the vehicle. There was two, but she could only see one of them because, as you see in this body-worn camera, this is the right ahead in front of you is the windshield, and to the right is the passenger window. Rosendahl was laying down. He had his seat all the way back. Oh, thank you, Devil Woman. Thank you. I do too, Susan, have an issue with Rosie. And if you remember too, which I didn't really want to say this because I might be speculating a little too much, but if we remember, in the back of this vehicle was a gun, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I thought I saw a gun in the back seat of this vehicle. And it could be the gun that Dylan is talking about. And it could be the gun that Bethany heard and saw the flashes of. Yep. So this is just showing you that there was more than one person in this vehicle, and this is the officer's vehicle that we saw in all of the footage that they claim to be Bryan Kohberger's car, and also it's the same vehicle that Molly McMichael saw. And I'm going to show you why I think that in this other still frame. 27, 26. All right. Right here, we can see the vehicle from far away. It looks white. But as we get closer to it, well, you can kind of see it in that one. Does that not look tan to you? That could totally pass as tan. If I was just doing a quick glance at it, I would think this is tan. Champagne, tan. That is absolutely the vehicle she saw. So that's what I showed earlier. And then I also showed that Bryan Kohberger went to Target in Moscow. It was 16 of the 23 times police said he pinged in Moscow and was going by the victim's house, but he wasn't. 16 of those 23, he was going to Target, and I proved with the receipt, but I also proved that he is not the guy. I don't think he is the guy because of his receipt records. I don't think he's the guy that was trying to break into Ava Woods' apartment. We would have heard all about it, and anytime he went to Moscow, he went to Target more than likely to get food. The cops even said that. So we have all of his receipts. I skipped ahead to do that one, but okay, we can continue with these documents here. And in case you missed it, I was just letting everybody know in the beginning, I'm only going to be on until about 6:15-ish today. Believe it or not, I meal prep for Bronx, so I have to get that all together, finish my laundry, get some things done. So we're going to pull up 110 here because we just did Ava Woods and her account of somebody trying to break in on 10/14 at 1 a.m. And even she said, if he didn't ping in Moscow on that day, then she said, that tells me he's not the unaliver or not the only one. This is by Brett Payne, and this is the collection of items. And I just wanted to pull this one up because I had complained about this in one of my pre-recorded videos that I was mad that they didn't take the nightstand, the blanket, the comforter, the mattress, and put it into evidence. And they actually did. So really, I'm just proving myself wrong in this one. They collected all those things, pillows, blankets, bed frame, mattresses, and they did put them, as far as they're saying in this report. And Pav even showed how these reports are, and Lana did too, how these reports have a bunch of lies in them. Unfortunately, we can't even believe what's in these, really. All right. So 111 is Maisie's interview, I believe. I'll pull that one up. There we go. There we go. Okay. This is by Brett Payne. This is with Maisie Chapin, Ethan's triplet sister. Now, he wrote this on January 11th, two whole months after this incident. Now, I know they wear body-worn cameras, but there are some things you would need to explain and report on that can't necessarily be, heard or smelled or whatever on your body-worn camera. You should not be writing reports 2 months freaking later, especially on a quadruple homicide. This makes me upset because you don't recall things the same after it's been 2 months. It's not fresh in your mind anymore. On November 13th, 2022, at approximately 2:20 hours, I interviewed Maisie at the police department for the quadruple homicide. Maisie is Ethan's sister. She consented to a forensic search of her phone. While they're doing forensic searches on his sister's phone, but not on Showalter, Jesus. I'm still mad about the blood in Showalter's apartment and how they lost the samples. No, what I think happened with that is, the university got called before anybody else. The university has all the power in this town, in most towns that there's a university in. What happened was MPD called the university and said, hey, what do you know about this kid named Showalter? And the university said, oh, leave the kid alone. His parents donate millions of dollars. Leave that kid alone. And then suddenly they lost the blood samples in his apartment and then never searched his phone, never followed up again, never did anything. You would think at the very, very least, if you lose blood samples in somebody's home that lives very, very close to the scene, that was the last people seen with these people that ended up unalived, you would at least do a hard, long, deep interrogation. Nope, not even that. They freaking suck, and it pisses me off. I asked Maisie to tell me what her day looked like on November 12th. Maisie stated she had her formal the night of the 12th. She stated she did not do much prior to the formal and then went to Hunga Dunga for the event at approximately 7 o'clock. Maisie said she, Hunter Chapin, and Ethan Chapin left the formal with several other friends at approximately 8 o'clock. Maisie stated she was dropped off at her house as the group was planning to go to the Blank Lodge party. However, Maisie stated she did not go and remained at her sorority until Hunter called her the morning of November 13th at approximately 12:30 in the afternoon. Maisie stated Hunter told her to come to Xana's when he called her. Maisie said Hunter did not elaborate on why she needed to come to the house. Maisie stated Hunter Johnson, Hunter Chapin, Emily J, unknown last name, F, and M were all there when she arrived. Funk and Mortensen were all there when she arrived. Maisie said someone told her when she got there that someone was in the house and Ethan and Xana didn't make it. Maisie told me Ethan, Xana, and Hunter had been texting her the night prior asking her to come to the blank. Maisie said she saw the text when she woke up the morning of November 13th. Maisie stated she did not go into the house that morning. Maisie could not think of anyone or any reason why someone would commit these homicides. I concluded my interview with Maisie and advised her to reach out if she needed resources and PD could provide. And that is it for Maisie's. And then 111, we're going to go to 112 because that's also an interview. I don't know how some people get through these so fast. Like, I really want to look at every word. I mean, what is in here, but more importantly, what is not in here, what they're not saying is so important too. Like, you have to read between the lines and a lot of stuff with these people, these officers, the university, whoever. They're shady as shit, you guys. I mean, you guys already know that. But it, I don't know. On November 4th, this is Blaker, 2 months after the unalivings, and it's an interview with KF. On November 14th at around 3:52, I called KF to arrange an interview with her. Kay had already left Moscow and was heading to southern Idaho to be with her family. Kay told me she had contact with B, Bethany, and Dylan on the 12th. Dylan arrived at her residence at 10:30 at night, and Bethany arrived at her residence at around 11:30 at night. Kay lives at Taylor Avenue. Bethany and Dylan were at her residence for 2 to 3 hours. What? 11:30? So they didn't get home till 1:30 or 2:30 at least? Interesting. It could have been 1:30, but Dylan, or one of them is saying they got home. Dylan said she got home at 12:30. No, she didn't. She didn't even get there until what? 10:30? Maybe. I guess you could work that out. It could be close. Kay stated she walked them past the Whites sometime before 2 in the morning, but she could not positively tell me. So if it was sometime before 2, which means, not that far before 2, but somewhere around a little before 2, Dylan did not get home at 12:30 then. She's an effing liar. This girl remembers walking them home sometime before 2. But she could not positively tell me. Kay stated she stayed on Taylor and then turned around, and she was not sure what route they took home for sure, but felt they kept walking west on Taylor toward King. Wait a minute. I thought they weren't together. I thought they didn't come home together. They came home at separate times. Didn't both Dylan and Bethany say they got home at different times? And here they are being walked home at the same time with this other girl. This other girl walked them home just before 2 together. Weird. She's not sure what route they took home for sure, but felt they kept walking west on Taylor toward King. Kay stated there was a group of 3 or 4 other females with Bethany and Dylan at the time. Kay did state she was drunk at the time and she could not recall all the events and everyone who was present with the group. Kay stated she thought LM was with the group. Kay was not able to tell me anything else. We're going to move on to 113, which is Eric Gower's, and these are actually in order. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. This is by Blaker, 2 months after the homicides. Interview with Eric Gower. On November 14th, so the next day, at 5:10, I contacted Eric in the front lobby of the police department. Eric had contacted Moscow PD earlier in the day and stated he's a local Uber driver, and he gave Kaylee and Maddie a ride home on 11:13 from the downtown area. Eric had been in the Spokane Coeur d'Alene area when he contacted us and stated he would not be back until 5 o'clock. I asked Eric how he knew Kaylee and Maddie. Eric stated he drives for Uber and Lyft, and Kaylee and Maddie have become some of his regular customers, and this is how he met them. Eric stated he was contacted by Kaylee on 11/12 at around 10:02 and asked if he could pick her and some friends up at 1122 King Road and take them to the Corner Club. Eric arrived at the address at 8:15 and picked up Kaylee, Maddie, and another female. Eric stated at 1:45 in the morning on the 13th, he was contacted by Kaylee again and asked if he could pick her and some friends up at the grub truck. Eric arrived at the grub truck at around 1:49. Eric took Kaylee and Maddie home. He stated it was a 3 to 4 minute drive from the grub truck to 1122 King Road. Eric told me he has been driving for Uber and Lyft since 2019. Eric told me Kaylee has been a regular for at least the last year. Eric stated he was working, but Kaylee did not contact him through the Uber or Lyft app, but instead texted him directly both times. That's actually not true, because in another document we read, he was not logged in to Uber or Lyft. He was off duty according to the apps. Eric stated when he got to the grub truck, he parked in front of the grub truck on Main Street facing south. Eric texted Kaylee he was there, and she stated they would be there in a second and said they were at order 75 and theirs was 78. Kaylee and Maddie came to the vehicle a short time later. Kaylee was in the front passenger seat and Maddie was in the rear seat. Maddie was eating the food from grub truck with her hands. They all had a casual conversation. Eric stated they appeared to be fine and nothing appeared to be out of the ordinary. Eric stated he still had the text on his phone and he sent screenshots to me. I burned those screenshots to a DVD and booked it into property as a later time, along with other documents I had related to this case. Eric was not able to give me more information at that time. All right, so 114 is Jack's interview. Jack D. Jack D. And there we go. Whoops, there we go. Brett Payne did this one 2 months later. Interview with D. Jack DeCour. On November 13th at approximately 2:37, I interviewed Jack DeCour at the Moscow Police Department. Reference the quadruple homicide which occurred at 1122. Jack was the ex-boyfriend of Kaylee. Jack consented to have his phone forensically searched and provided me with his cell phone at the beginning of the interview. We also know now that Jack DeCour, giving police his phone, they also got DNA and fingerprints off of his phone, like physically swabbed his phone. I asked Jack to tell me about his day on the 12th. Jack stated he worked at blank and worked from 2 o'clock to 10:10 on November 12th. Jack stated he left his work and dropped off some food for a friend working at the Corner Club. Jack stated he went home blank King Road, then returned to the Corner Club around 11 o'clock. Jack stated he saw Goncalves at the corner club and spoke to her briefly. Jack stated he left the corner club but was unsure if Kaylee left before or after him. Jack stated he went to bed when he got home, which we know is not true, because he told his friends he was ignoring Kaylee's call because he thought it was just a booty call. So we know he was awake. When Jack awoke, he told me he saw commotion down the street. Why is everybody using the word commotion for this horrific thing? 1122 King Road is visible from blank King Road, which is his address. Jack stated he later looked at his phone and saw several missed calls from Kaylee and Maddie from the early morning hours of the 13th. I clarified Jack's timeline for the night prior. He told me he left the corner club at approximately 1 in the morning and returned home. Jack said he got a ride from PR, the blank of blank, D fraternity. He told me he thought he went to sleep at approximately 1:30 and awoke at approximately 11:30 the next day on the 13th. I asked Jack to tell me what the commotion was that he mentioned, and Jack told me he saw law enforcement and emergency vehicles in front of 1122 King Road, so he walked over to see what was happening. I asked Jack to clarify the missed calls he received early that morning. Jack told me he received multiple calls from Kaylee and Maddie, one of which was FaceTime between 2:40 and 3 in the morning. Why is he giving like a 20-minute window? You can look at your phone and tell the exact minute and second somebody called you. Why is it like a roundabout time? A 20-minute time frame? Jack stated he knew Maddie for some time, but she would not call him for any reason. Jack also said Kaylee texted him to tell him he could come to her house to retrieve his vape pen. I asked Jack if he noticed or heard anything suspicious anytime recently. He stated he saw a dark gold minivan backing up King Road at approximately 1 to 2 months prior. Jack stated he did not remember any other suspicious circumstances. He did add that Kaylee would call him on occasion when she was walking home alone or when she was feeling sketched out. Jack stated there were people coming in and out of 1122 King Road frequently, and more people knew the code to their door than they should have. Jack stated he was not sure if the residents regularly locked the rear sliding glass door. Jack also told me he and Kaylee owned a dog, a golden doodle named Murphy. He also told me Kaylee was taking the dog out sometime in the past when Kaylee saw a shadowy figure behind the house. Jack stated nothing else came from the incident. I asked Jack about his relationship with Kaylee. He told me they had dated for approximately 5 years and broke up several months prior due to a loss of spark, coupled with Kaylee leaving for a job in Texas. Jack stated there wasn't conflict and the breakup was mutual. I asked Jack if there was anyone who flirted with Goncalves. Jack stated there was a male by the name of E.R. who often flirted with Kaylee. Jack did not know of any past stalking incidents, nor did he know who would have committed the murders. I asked Jack about his conversation with Kaylee at the corner club. He said the conversation was short but normal. Jack did not have any further information for me during this interview, so I concluded my interview with Jack. I think it's strange that in almost every interview that we have read, and I don't know if it's because it's written so far, in the future from when the crime happened and when they actually conducted these interviews, from the time they did the interview to the time they wrote the report, But it seems like the information in almost every single interview is there's either lies, or they're misremembering, or something's missing, or like they're just not completely the truth of what we know is fact and truth now. And I don't like that. It's almost every single interview there's at least one thing. 115 is the glove that they found. 116 says lab, so let me just make sure it's not something that we should be talking about. I think it might be. We'll check it out. Here we go. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you guys and I already did this. I didn't do this exact one. There's two of them that are very similar. They had released Dylan Mortensen's belongings to her. And I just found this important because they released evidence that they needed back. So they drove all the way to her house in Boise to take back her personal belongings that they were going to use as evidence in court. They already gave it to her. There is no freaking possible way that they would have been able to use this evidence that they had released to her already. She could have done anything to this evidence. There's no way that they could have used this. And if they tried to, you bet your bottom dollar that Ann Taylor would have called them out on this. And they would have tried to hide it. I bet anything. And that was the only reason I wanted to show that one again. You cannot, in good faith, take back evidence that you've already released to the person and they've had it in their possession. And it's supposed to be evidence in a quadruple homicide. And then you're like, oh, not a big deal. We'll just get it back from her. Like, I get it, but no. Anything could have been done to that. 117 are items that the defense picked up, I believe. There we go. Let's see. This is Blaker, about 2 months after the crime. This is them assisting the defense team with going through items at the police department and city shop. On January 10th, 2023, at around 1:15, I met with Ann Taylor and her team at the Moscow Police Department. Taylor is the defense attorney for Bryan Kohberger. Taylor had arranged to go through the garbage sent to us from Pennsylvania by FBI investigators. It's from Madison's room and Xana's room. Oh, items from Madison's room and Xana's room. 2 vehicles belonging to Ethan Chapin and personal items belonging to Ethan, Dylan, and Bethany. So she was going through, apparently they did collect the garbage in Pennsylvania that he was tossing into the neighbor. I did a pre-recorded video where I was like, they didn't even collect the trash. We've never heard about, if it was so important, why wouldn't they collect the trash? Apparently they did. So proved myself wrong. After looking at the garbage, Taylor identified several items she felt we could discard since they contained perishable goods and they had started to spoil. Gross. We placed these items on a shelf located in the northeast corner of the storage garage at the police department. Taylor also identified several items she wanted us to keep until she saw reports of these items. Taylor was good with where we were keeping the mattresses, bed frames, nightstands, shelf, and sheets from Madison's room and Xana's room. I escorted Taylor and her team to the city shop and they went through personal items were removed from 1122 King Road weeks earlier. These items belonged to Bethany, Dylan, and Ethan. Interesting. When Taylor was done, she identified several items she wanted MPD to hold, and she was going to request an order from the judge to take these items and have them tested. These items were placed in cardboard boxes and placed away from the other items so they would not accidentally be released. Taylor and her team looked at both vehicles while at the shop. Taylor stated she would contact Bill Thompson's office and would advise him when she felt items could be released. Now, what I find interesting about this is they had Ann Taylor go through all these items without giving her the paperwork on them prior to know what she needed. She didn't know anything about them. She didn't know if they had been tested. She didn't know, where they were found. She didn't know any of it. So it's almost like a mind game here. They wanted her to pick out items or see if she wanted any of these items to use in court as evidence, but she didn't know one iota dang thing about them. They hadn't given her any paperwork on them prior. So she didn't even know, like, what should I be keeping? Where did this come from? I have no idea. They're just handing her an item with like probably a tag or something on it, but no other information. Like, they just really did everything in their power to make sure she could not gain any sort of defense, any evidence for them, anything. All right. And then we have 122 is, I think, an interview with two people. But yeah, I would put my entire lifetime on the fact that unmarked police vehicle, the Banfield vehicle that the officers were in, that is who Molly McMichael saw. And that is also the vehicle that we see on the camera. This one is by Payne. It's an interview with Kay and Emily. On 118, I spoke to K.A. Okay, so I believe her name is Karen, and it's Emily's mom. Oh, I didn't even put this on the screen. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay. So this is Emily and her mom, Karen, an interview with both of them. I spoke with Karen and Emily. Reference a suspicious occurrence she and Emily remembered at 1122 King Road. I called Karen and asked her what she remembered. Karen told me she came to Moscow to celebrate Emily's birthday. Kaylee had planned a party for Emily at 1122 King Road that evening. Karen stated several people to include Kaylee and Emily were on the back patio during the party. Kaylee's dog Murphy was also present. Karen stated Murphy ran up into the bushes behind the house on several occasions and would not return when called. Karen stated they called Murphy numerous times before he would come back. Karen told me the group eventually went inside and shut the door. This was the only occurrence Karen was present for, but told me Emily remembered more similar occasions. We've seen a couple of reports that say Murphy went into the bushes, and I think there possibly could have been somebody there. Although during the day, I feel like you would have seen them, but maybe not if they didn't go back there and look. I don't know what these bushes would have looked like at that time, and if there's enough foliage on them to hide a person in them or all the way back behind them. I don't know. So possibly, but if there was, it sounds like maybe somebody was letting Murphy get their scent. So when they did go into the home, Murphy would know them or feel like they were a safe person because he had smelled them so many times before. I called Emily on 119 to reference these occurrences. Emily also related the occasion on her birthday and added it was unlike Murphy to not immediately return home when called, which is the reason she and Kaylee were concerned about someone being behind the house when Murphy would behave in this manner. Emily told me about another occasion on 10/29 during which she was at 1122 King Road for a Halloween party. Emily told me Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan were all present at the party. During the party, Emily stated the group gathered on the back patio once again, and Murphy began to run into the wood line behind the house and not come back. Or, dogs have an incredible sense of smell. If I have my window open next to the couch and I can see Bronx, he will stick his nose in the air and start sniffing when somebody is walking down the sidewalk across the street. He can smell them. Dogs have an incredible sense of smell. I'm wondering if Murphy kept running back there, not because he heard somebody back there, but because he kept continuously smelling the same smell of that person being there. Murphy knew they were there and went to basically go say hi. So this is 10/29, and we know that Ava's was 10/14 when the person tried breaking into her house. So it fits with the time frame. I think this is all the same person or people. Emily told me, oh, we already did that. The wood line behind the house did not come back. Emily told me they heard noises too. She described these noises as similar to what it would sound like if someone was moving through the woods on foot. This occasion took place midday, and they did not see anyone behind the house. However, Murphy's behavior and the noises caused them to go inside and close the door. I don't know why during the day, if there's several of you and it's outside, why wouldn't you just go check? Get a baseball bat or a knife or anything and just go check. At least then you'd know. The last occasion Emily remembered took place approximately 2 weeks prior to the homicide. Wasn't that 2 weeks prior to the homicide? Emily stated Murphy displayed similar behavior of running into the woods and not coming back when called. Emily also recalled an occurrence during this time frame wherein she and Kaylee returned to 1122 King Road and found the rear sliding door standing open, and Murphy was missing. Emily stated they had to go out and look for Murphy after they found the door open. I asked Emily if it was common for people who didn't live at 1122 King Road to walk in when no one was home. Emily stated it was not uncommon, meaning, yes, people did go in there when they were not home, and added members of blank and several friends of the females who lived there would come and go at will. I thanked Emily for her time and concluded our interview. But so how long did it take to get Murphy? Where did they find Murphy at? What happened? Like, these are the worst freaking interviews I've ever heard of in my life. It's like this person it's like their first day on the job and they don't know how to conduct an interview. They didn't ask correct questions. They left it completely open-ended. It's ridiculous. And you know why? Because they know who it was and they know exactly what they need to cover up, what they can and can't say, what they can and can't report, all of that stuff. They knew from day one what happened, I believe. That's my opinion. And that is why you see so many blacked out time frames in all of the footage, whether it's Linda Lane or 1112 footage. There are times there's 35 minutes here, a minute here, 15 seconds here, and it goes on. I mean, it's a lot of time missing, and they're doing it on purpose. Like in Pav's video, it's 11 seconds missing. Well, it's the 11 seconds that the undercover cop car honked his horn. They didn't want us to know that the time was off, because we'd be able to see in the Linda Lane video what time it was that horn honked, and it would have been exactly an hour off from when they thought it was, or when they tried to get us to think that it was. In the body worn camera of Banfield, that video is exactly 1 hour behind. So when it says they stopped working at 3:52, no, they stopped working at 4:52. Just in case you guys didn't know that, Pav found that. So give him a congratulations on his big boom. And it fits with everything else. If you have not seen Pav's video from today, please go watch it. It is well worth it. And then just remember, as you're watching his video, that those are those undercover cops, Rosie and Tesdall, and that undercover unmarked car is absolutely the car that we see continuously making that lap. And that is the same car that they say is Bryan Kohberger speeding away from the scene. So, and that car, thinking that it's Bryan Kohberger's, or they're saying that it was Bryan Kohberger's, was one of two things that they had against him. So now that that's been dispelled and debunked, now the only other thing left to tie him to that scene is the DNA on the knife sheath button that is less than a secondary transfer amount of DNA. That's it. It is. Hi, G Wiz. Hi, Christina. Yes, love Pav. Love, love, love Pav. You know what I like about him so much is he doesn't talk. It's not, when he talks, it's not like he's talking down to anybody. He really wants everybody to understand and know the information that he's gathered. It's not like a condescending talking at all. Some channels, I do feel like some people are condescending or a little bit manipulative. They want us to think something that we know better. You know, we know the truth, so you can't fool me in thinking that these names are backwards on these reports or whatever it is. Anyways, it is 6:14. I have to go meal prep for Bronx. I know you guys can make fun of me. I understand. That is crazy. I don't have kids, so Bronxy is my baby, and I make sure he has the best life humanly possible. I heard that too, Christina and Susan. They told people they didn't have to turn the footage over. Yep. I heard that some footage was retrieved way later only because Danny Vargas remembered that she had gotten video from a house in the area in the past, and she went there later and asked for any video footage they had, and they actually had some from that night. Hi, Natalie, Miss Bianca, legendary CEO. I didn't see your guys' conversation, but I think if there was a bullet hole, they would have never told us about that. And they probably were not even looking for that. Once they saw the victims and their injuries, I bet they weren't even looking for that. But now we know that Dylan saw somebody with a gun, and the noise could have been a gun as well as the flash could have been a gun. So gosh, I know you guys are just like me. You wish you could have done the walkthrough. You wish you could have gathered this evidence, because I bet any one of us alone working this whole crime scene and investigation by ourselves could have done a better job than they did. The thing is, now I see, especially with the documents, all of this was on purpose. They didn't collect certain stuff on purpose. They're leaving stuff out of reports on purpose. they're leaving complete reports out of this on purpose. You know, like, where are all of Rosendal's reports? Each person should have reports in here from each incident. Everybody who was there should have reports. We don't see any reports from Rosendal. It's all done on purpose, guys. Yep. Dog grooming. Exactly. And that, I think, is exactly what was happening. And I don't think Murphy was running to the wood line because he heard something. I think it's because he smelled the same person over and over and over back there. Interesting. I wonder how Bubbly would know that there is a homeless man unless she visited or lives out there. I don't know. Maybe. Interesting. That could be as well. That makes sense. Oh, yeah. Yep. I'm still wanting to know if a bullet hole was in part of the wall they cut out of 1122. And then the excuse they use of the chemicals that they use to clean up the crime scene, that's bullshit. Because do you know how many unalivings that I know of where the same chemicals were used and then they resell the house as soon as it's cleaned up? I mean, think of that. I'm sure you guys have an unaliving in your town where the house is still there. Well, they would have used the same chemicals on that house. I mean, it's pretty standard what crime scene cleanup people use. That's bullcrap. That's a lie. It was not because of any chemicals they used. In my town, there was actually a friend of my mom's, which was one of my best friends in high school. It was her aunt. I grew up in a really small town. Anyways, this lady, her name was Mary, and they actually did a Lifetime movie about her. She was unalived by her husband in front of her 2 kids and the babysitter. He was extremely abusive. And the last thing he did to her was, do you guys remember the old Lazy Boy chairs? They're really, really, really heavy. He hurt her so bad that she was on the ground, and he took the Lazy Boy chair, that bar in the back that keeps it from tipping. He put that on her head and then jumped in the chair, and then her eyes came out. And that is how she was unalived. And that is actually happened in the town I live in now. But the judge for the guy who did that, which was her husband, the judge in my town at the time, one of them, not the judge on the case, but just a judge in town, was his grandfather. And he got 5 months probation for doing this to her, unaliving her. I actually babysat the kids one day right after that had happened. Her kids. Sad. But stuff happens all the time for people that know people and how they get away with things, even unalivings. And that house is still there, and they used luminol on the entire house, and it lit up like the sun was shining. There's a Lifetime video on it, and it's so sad. Anyways, it is 6:20, guys. I have got to jet. Got to get a couple things done, but I will see you guys tomorrow. I really do want to get through these documents for sure. I feel like they're moving way, way slower than I anticipated. I thought they were going to go a little bit faster. I know that here coming up, we have only a couple through 150, up until 150. So those will move fast. And then the next one up until 200, we only have a couple in those. There's not a whole lot of them. And one of them I've already showed you. So yeah, that's what we have for you today. I really appreciate you guys being here so much. Today is a short one, and I apologize, but I'll be back tomorrow. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Please do something nice for yourself today. Be kind, but most importantly, be kind to your dog or cat or rabbit or animal or gecko or whatever you have that you love. Be kind to them. Go get some ice cream or something for yourself. Just do something nice for yourself, even if it's small. Bye, guys. Bye. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you guys. We love you guys so much. You have no idea. All right, guys, I'm off. Bye-bye.